you are suddenly giving them thousands of pounds worth of extra business over and above any other buyer, and then you really do kind of stand out. That's what we tend to do if we don't have a strategy and we've not planned. I'd like to buy properties at 25% below market value.
I'm going to be really insulted.
And the biggest tip you can probably have is fabulous. So having promised that we go inside somewhere warm, we went inside somewhere warm and it's very noisy, so we're back out in the cold, but with a coffee, so that helps. So before Melinda was talking about going to agents when they've got the kind of property that you want to deal with. That's what we tend to do if we don't have a strategy and we've not planned. We wait until we see something we want and then we go and ask somebody to give it to us. The agents may or may not play ball entirely, because if they've got an easy way to transact and deal with the things that they're doing, whether it's rental properties that will rent easily or sales properties that will sell, why would they deal with an investor who's just coming in to demand more of them? What all agents need are properties to sell or properties to rent out, and that's the driver of the agency business. When we sold our business, Mel, what was the basis upon which the rental roster was sold?
The rental roster is based on managed properties rather than you just tenant finds, so that ongoing relationship that's a commitment between the landlord and the agency.
So even in rentals, the number of properties that you're instructed on is the basis of the value of the company as well as the income for the business.
Absolutely.
And in sales, even though we've seen a couple of businesses where the mortgage and the legal referrals and the corporates are really important, they still can't refer people on for mortgages and they can't refer people on for legal services if they don't have houses to sell. So all agents need houses to sell or houses to rent out. So instead of trying to build a relationship when the agent's got something you want, we should be trying to build relationships based around what the agent wants and what we can do for them.
Whether it's your own or you've got a relationship with an investor who's looking to sell, if you can bring that to the agent and win the instruction for them, that's definitely a way of getting their attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, as it goes, all houses will sell eventually. If you've got a £200,000 house and you put it on the market for 100,000, you'll have a queue around the corner. And if you put it on the market at 250,000, nobody will buy it. And the selling of the houses is not really that difficult, even though agents have to do it to get paid. So if you walk into an agent and go, I want to buy a house, they'll be like, yeah, okay, fine. But if you walk into an agent and offer them houses to sell, then you're in a completely different ballpark.
Yeah, then you've definitely got their attention.
Yeah.
So evaluation is the stock that goes into their shopfront window. That means they've got something to sell, they've got something to transact, and without that, they don't have a business.
The reason why we have to deal with agents is because they hold 98% of the market. But if we're crafty investors, we always want the chance to talk direct to vendor. So instead of going to an agent and saying, can I buy a house, or I'm looking for properties below market value or whatever it might be, how about you go into an agent when you don't want something from them and go, it's just a quick question, I'm a property investor, I do a lot of deals direct to vendor, but we very often come across people who are selling their house who don't need a creative strategy, they just need a good estate agent, and I'm looking for somebody in the locality that I could refer my clients onto when they need an agent to sell their house. Would it be of benefit to you if I brought instructions here from time to time so that you've got new listings for your agency? You're basically coming in and going, can I give you business all the time on a regular basis? Of course you're going to get the agent's attention. They're going to be really keen to talk to you. So even if you're new, you can be looking for places that you can bring sales leads on the back of the direct to vendor marketing that you do. So to summarise, the most important and the biggest tip you can probably have is give the agents what they want. Don't worry about what you want, that will follow. For example, a bad example of what new investors do when they first go through some training, get a little bit of knowledge and decide, I want to be a property investor, is they'll go into an estate agency and they'll go, I'd like to buy properties at 25% below market value. Do you have anything on the market like that?
And I'm going to be really insulted by that question.
Why is that insulting?
When we go to value a property, we're taking all the things into account. Its location, what amenities it has, but also any upgrades or downgrades that the property has had. The price that we put it to market should genuinely reflect that knowledge.
So essentially what I'm saying is I'd like you to take all of your knowledge and research and then completely undermine your own position on that.
A couple of things. Undermine my position, and also, why would I give it to you? If there's a property that's a really good bargain, that's below market value, I've got contractors and relationships with vendors and investors. I'm probably going to give them the heads up that this is a great deal.
What does that make you think about the person asking that kind of question?
A bit cheeky. not very knowledgeable, not very personable, as in investing any time. I don't know you from Adam. I mean,
Okay.
obviously I do know you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we've met before.
No, like and trust.
Yeah,
That's how
okay.
relationships are built.
Say I was doing flips, so I wanted to refurb a property and then uplift the value and then put it back to market, either to sell or potentially to rent. So I might come in and go, hi, oh, you must be Melinda. Are you the owner? That's right, isn't it?
Nice to meet you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm Joe. Very nice to meet you. Melinda, I'm a property investor. And what I do is I take rundown properties and I refurbish them, add value, and then sometimes I sell them out, sometimes I refinance them and then rent them out. I'm looking to work with a couple of agents that might be willing for me to buy properties from them on the understanding that I'm going to bring them back to market and either sell it through your agency for a second time or potentially rent it out through your rentals team and use your mortgage brokers to do the remortgage once we've got a tenant in place. Would we be able to build some sort of relationship going forward if we can find properties where you can get 2 sales fees from them?
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of finance have you got in place already?
Cool, and then we'll go on to kind of talk about that. So what you're trying to do there as an investor is to stand out from the market by giving the agent their property back, whether it's to sell, to resell, to refinance, to rent out. You are then not just somebody buying a house, but you're somebody giving business to the agent. If the agent can sell the same house 2, 3, 4, 5 times or refinance it a couple of times, then you are suddenly giving them thousands of pounds worth of extra business over and above any other buyer, and then you really do kind of stand out. If we're looking at the rental side, one of the key things, if you're looking at a rent-to-rent strategy, whether it's rent to serviced accommodation or rent to HMO, why is that a challenge for a rental agent?
Because it's outside of a normal AST or tenancy agreement. Normally when somebody phones in, we'll be asking questions like, okay, you want to view this property. Who's that property for? Are you going to live in it? Is it you and your partner, you and a friend? So all those people over 18 will need to get referenced, and without prying, but what's your affordability? Because we have a criteria that we have to meet in order for you to get through referencing. And I won't take you on board unless I know that you're going to hit those affordability targets.
So rental agents have a process basically that they're very familiar with and very comfortable with.
Absolutely.
And
But HMO and rent to SA is a completely different phenomenon. And so are students, so those different regimes, not every agent is set up for.
okay.
And as a consequence, there's different criteria to meet. There'll be other obligations for the landlord as well. So if they have a mortgage on the property, they'll need permission for those additional change of circumstances.
Yeah, cool. So there's lots of obstacles why I think a lot of property investors go into an estate agent and say, do you do corporate lets? And the agent says,
No.
so how about, instead of just asking for them to be challenged from their existing model for the properties where they know they make money, you had landlords that would bring a property to you that they were going to self-manage, yeah?
Tenant fines.
Tenant fines. You don't get paid month on month for the tenant fines, you just get paid for finding the tenant.
It's a one-off introductory fee. So basically we find the tenancy, and lettings are so heavily regulated now that there's a load of paperwork and lodging deposits and various things that we make sure is in place to keep the landlord safe throughout the duration of that tenancy.
Okay, and the landlords then, when you've done a tenant find, they're managing the property themselves. So in those circumstances, you've got a property that you're finding a tenant for, but you don't get paid as an ongoing amount, and you've got a landlord who is taking on some work themselves. So how about then if I came into your lettings department and said, I know that you do regular rentals, I'm actually a property investor, and whatever you choose to be, whether I work with local companies to place their workers on site when they're here for a period of time, or I'm a relocation agent, or I property manage, but I don't do that in competition with agents. I only work alongside estate agents, so I am reassuring you I'm not going to nick your business. Would I be right to think that you sometimes have landlords who use your services just to find a tenant and manage the property themselves?
Yes, we do tenant fines.
Okay, that's brilliant. So what I'm looking for properties that I can rent on a corporate basis, and that then I can manage the property and we move people in as and when they need it for our corporate client base. Now, obviously you've got properties with ASTs. Would it be of interest to you if we can find the right clients on our end to pay you a kind of a monthly stipend for tenant find properties, so that you get paid every month for the properties that you otherwise would have just had a single fee for? Would that be potentially something we can have a conversation about?
There's a couple of landlords I can probably speak to about that. Not necessarily all of them will be open to it.
Yeah,
but,
sure. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What I'm looking to do really is to generate a little bit more income for your agency as a thank you for the introduction, so that you've got more money coming in every month. Then if the landlord's managing it themselves, actually we can take that pain from the landlord. So a tenancy where we actually do the day-to-day management, so it's no work for them, but you're getting paid every month on the back of that. Does that sound like something that might be worth looking at?
Potentially.
Definitely not a flat no, we don't do corporate lets anymore.
I'm not insulted by the question.
Okay. So then actually if we're talking to lettings agents, they will find tenants in the current market for their regular AST properties very quickly and very easily. So if you're asking to do corporate let, you're competing against what they know, asking them to learn new skills. However, if you can offer them an extra income from properties where they will still get paid for tenant find and then they'll get paid afterwards, what you're doing is bringing more money to their business. In other words, once again, we are giving the agent something that they want and something that they couldn't otherwise get. The key to all of it is understand the drivers of the agent's business. And the key driver is they need properties to sell, or they need properties to rent out, and they need income from rentals or the equivalent, and they need income from mortgage and legal referrals. So that's what will build a relationship with that agent and make you stand out over and above any other buyer, any other landlord, any other person they're going to deal with that day. So if you're starting out in property, you might be very nervous because you've not done it before. You might have a little bit of reverence and respect for estate agents. Estate agents are not necessarily property experts, they're not investors. So if you've done the right training, you will go in with a lot of knowledge and expertise over and above what they have themselves to start with. Obviously you don't want to kind of talk down to them, but you can talk to them as equals. You have things that they want. You have houses to sell, routes into market, properties to rent out. So you have things of value to that agent. Don't be afraid of them. Don't be scared of them. Do find out about the company and about the people in the office that you're going to talk to before you walk in through the door. Do have an idea of what you can offer to them before you start asking for things back. And actually, if what you offer to them, they can see the value in, they can see the benefit of working with you, then they'll actually be the ones that come to you going, how can we help? What can we do for you? Would you like to see these properties that might work for the strategy you've just outlined? I think a key message all the way along is get yourself educated. I mean, you saw that the first thing that we did today is we started doing some research because you need to know what you're doing and you need to have a clue before you start. What you wouldn't want to do is go into a hospital and have someone say, I've just started out in brain surgery, so would it be all right if I practice on you a little bit? Get some education so that you know what you're doing. Progressive is the biggest property training company in the UK. They've got a whole bunch of free resources that you can download. They've got a new report that's coming out that you can have a look at. So there is some information available for you. If you want to have a look at the free link down in the comments, somewhere down there, or the link somewhere up there, then you'll be able to click on, get a bit more information and get some learning so that you can start your journey with a bit of knowledge and a bit of confidence. Okay, so we've had a look around Peterborough. We've done our research. We've looked at our agents. We've worked out our scripts. We know what we're going to say. If you're based in Peterborough, we've given you such a head start. But wherever you are, with the information that you're getting from Progressive, you can really get yourself up and running. And now I'm going home. Onwards and upwards.